Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Bay Robinson and friends, seen on internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. Please go to our channel and type in capital letters RBRIMO. That will show you all of our work and programs on YouTube and Facebook and the internet. I want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide, and especially our very talented co-hosts, Miss Jackie Williams.
Hi, Ron.
Mr. Neesmith Allen.
Hello, Ron.
And Mr. Henry.
Hi, Ron, Jackie, and Denise.
What's going on there?
To the world and to my co-hosts and technical staff, all of you are brilliant, educated in life and book, but yet grounded in integrity, family life values, and common sense. Thank you.
Wow. We didn't see that one coming.
The world knows now.
Okay.
Okay? Let's talk about an incident that occurred in the Cincinnati Zoo. Denise, why don't you take it?
Well, I think it's pretty common knowledge, but for those who may have missed it, a young boy and his family were at the zoo, and apparently he was about 4 years old, and he got away from his parents somehow, ended up in the pit where a silverback gorilla was, and ultimately was euthanized because they were concerned about the child's safety. So that's the story in a nutshell. Now, if you want my opinion about that, that's a very touchy but interesting situation. We want to look at, number one, where were the parents? Okay, so the parents apparently brought the child to the zoo. However, and I believe any parent has a certain responsibility to make sure that they know where their children are. However, in human nature, there are times when, for a split second, a child may not be present. And in that particular situation, that may have been the case. The way the zoo is designed was troubling to me. Looking at how, even though there were maybe some wiring and some other things, however, it was in such a way that the child was able to get through it and able to go down into this pit. He fell into this pit. Looking at the footage, the gorilla looked like instinctively that he was trying to protect the child. But at the same time, as he drugged the child away, we don't know what could have happened next. So the zoo authorities made a decision, again, to euthanize him. So what happens? There's people that are outraged on both sides of the table. You know, parents are being held accountable for, you know, making sure that they know where their children are. The zoo is being held responsible for not having the place in such a way that safety is not an issue there. So there's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we will in the course of this conversation. But I really feel badly that Harambe was the name of the silverback gorilla who was killed. And I feel badly for the parents too, because they have had threats to their life. The father, who was there also, but then they decided to go into the family background, and then suddenly his history, his criminal history is brought up, which has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to that child. So the court of public opinion, like I said, it's on all sides. Everybody has an opinion about the situation, but I think there are lessons to be learned in all areas, and I will defer to my colleagues.
Yeah, I think them bringing up his past history screwed up journalism. Someone trying to make a name for themselves, in which a lot of newspaper people do and journalists do. I never did it. All right, Jackie, what's your thoughts?
I just, I have a lot of thoughts just like Denise. I just think we need to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is that this little boy was at the zoo and he slipped and fell into a cage. So maybe that brings us to a couple of questions. What should we do to ensure the safety of future children? Parents, when you come out, this is a teachable moment. Parents, when you come out and you bring your children into those type of settings, we need you to secure their safety at all times. You need to know where they are. Possibly have them in strollers where they're not free to roam, because that kind of would give a double safety, if they're not free to roam or whatever. Or they used to have like a limit of how many people you could be watching at one time. So maybe you need to only have 2 children per person that you can possibly watch correctly. But every time, like I said, the main thing, we always go and start digging into something that has nothing to do with the issue. His background has nothing to do with that. His child slipped into a cage and was in danger. It has nothing to do with that. It has all to do with what can we do to prevent this further. Yes, people were hurt because a gorilla had to be put down. People were hurt because the baby was in there and he was in danger. So it's a lot of people that are hurt. So we have to be careful how we respond. And on social media, it's almost like we need a guard, because sometimes we say some really hurtful things, and people say that, well, my mom used to say that words don't hurt. Yes, they do. Words and things do hurt, especially when you're going through, because I can't even imagine the agony of her sitting there watching her child in that cage. Sometimes you have to take your shoes off and put on their shoes and understand how they're going through. Wrong, right, or indifferent is still an emotion attachment.
Right. Okay, Henry.
Ladies, I'm spellbound by your thought here. I like yours, Denise, because you didn't blame anybody else. What we do, I'm sorry, Jackie, but what human beings do, most of them, I gotta put my glasses on.
Because we can't tell the difference.
Because we look so much alike. I know, Henry.
You would put more some glasses on.
But the substance, back to teachable moment, as you say. The first thing we want to do is blame somebody. Blame the next guy. Blame the Democrat, or blame the Republican, blame the white man, or blame the poor man, or whatever. We blame. And the press is no exception, and nor is the police department. They have to find a victim so that they look as though they do their job. And sometimes you can come up with great solutions by keeping it simple. Like, for example, here was a moment that parents, for a moment, lost sight of their child. And the child, was his negligence? It could have been, but sometimes kids can dart away from you, depending on how many people are around you. But you nailed it on the head when you said, how can we learned something here. How can we prevent this from happening again? That is a powerful statement. Now you can blame other people after you've gone through and done the analysis and given people some wisdom that they can use. Because that's what you did. You say, folks, make sure your kids are within your grasp all the time when you're around harmful animals. This is a zoo. A zoo contains dangerous animals. Don't stick your finger in a fence, where snakes are, or whatever. There are certain things, common sense things we can tell the general public that they either ignore or don't think the incidents will happen to them. But if these kind of incidents happen to other people, I like your responses. That's the best I can offer you.
Okay.
I can't bring the child back. But I will say that beware of positions taken by the press or sometimes by the police. When they
Right.
identify the victim.
Thankfully, the child is still with us. It is the
Yeah.
gorilla that is
Yeah.
no longer with us.
And we all know that the press lies, okay, and the police lie. And if I had my way, when a police officer is caught lying, okay, they should take his badge and gun.
Chop off
Same
the
thing
victim.
goes with prosecutors. When they gang up on somebody in court, all right, and tell blatant lies, and it's found out that it was a lie that sentenced that man or woman, you know, to either jail or prison, he should be disbarred. Okay. Moving right along.
Ron, before you go, did you know what you just described was flagrant in this country in years past? Particularly black people brought to court, and the prosecutor just did whatever was necessary. Got a couple witnesses to say this was true and that was true. And the fate of the person was determined without facts.
Absolutely.
And nothing has changed.
And so now we have like the Innocence Project in place, you know, organizations like that. They're uncovering all of this, you know.
Yes.
Some of it was, you know, just so blatant it didn't need that. But there are some that, you know, especially those that are sitting on death row, you know. So thank God that we have those
And
organizations.
I think, don't quote me on this, but I think over 300 people, men and women, have been found not guilty through the
Exonerated,
Innocence
yeah.
Project. All right?
Yeah, and the more we talk about this, the more we can educate people, particularly people in places in the Supreme Court and the appellate courts and the state courts and the benches around the country
And that's why I think a lot of people don't have respect for the police, you know, law enforcement, you know, because of they can't be trusted. All right, and we have to get that trust back. Moving right along, the greatest, Muhammad Ali, dead at 74 years old, a great American, humanitarian, and a champion of the people. You will be greatly missed.
He fought a good fight.
Yes, he did.
I mean,
Yes,
because
he did.
even with him being sick, he didn't stop his appearances, and a lot of times our ego overshadows our ability to reach out to others. And even with him shaking and everything, he still went to all of his engagements, and he did the best he could with his speeches. And I just commend him for that, because a lot of people go and hide. And I'll use an example as Robin. Well, maybe I won't use an example. What is his name? Working Mindy. I'm dating myself. He killed himself.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Because I used that yesterday when he died. I thought about him because, you know, he had the same thing that Muhammad had, and he didn't want to go through that process. So I commend people who deal with the hand that they're dealt. And he dealt, he dealt with that hand. I mean,
Right.
and he was for years. I don't even remember him not being sick anymore because he's been
Been
sick for so long.
Right.
And then his family and how they took care of him, and his wife, how she stood by him, and all that. Those things are to be commended, because we need so bad to have a model family to look at, because our idea of looking at things that should be models are tainted, because that's a model. How they supported their dad and how his wife supported him even though he was sick, that's a model.
Yes, it is.
You
Yes,
know,
it
even
is.
though you might not look like a model in a book, that's the model family that you need to be worried about. It's not all about the outer, it's the inner beauty.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Well,
well said. Well said, Jackie.
What I liked about Muhammad Ali in his early years, when he was champion, he believed in himself. Came out of a southern town, came from a middle class family. And we never talked about middle class families until recently, about 2010. Because I knew middle class families existed a long time. For the first time I see that in the press, here, a nationwide press, and it says he came from a middle class family. That means that he probably was well educated. And he was in a great surroundings of people who cared about him. And but when he stood up before the United States and said, "I won't fight in Vietnam. You treat me like a dog, a slave, and I'm just not going to do it, folks. I'm the champion. I'm the greatest, you know. And a lot of people that drew pause. Even the black Americans turned against them, as well as white Americans. I don't know whether you guys know that or not.
Well, yeah, I was
Because
around.
part
I
of
was
it.
around.
Okay, because there were many people who said, well, he's just too mouthy. They were parroting other people about Muhammad Ali, and they may have never wanted to see this man rise as high as he did. But there were other people, like Henry Hatter, that wanted to see him rise. And maybe Denise.
Well, I was a youngster when he was in his heyday, but one of the things that used to it kind of frightened me as a teenager to hear him speak the way he spoke, because he was so outspoken and he was so brazen with his speech that I feared for his life. That's what it was with me, because I said, they're going to kill him. I'm afraid for him. Because
we were all afraid
I said, him, Malcolm X, these were our warriors. These were our heroes. These were people who spoke the truth. And the truth was not going to change with them. So they said they spoke their truth. And so now, after I understand a whole lot better, I'm saying, you know what? I commend him for being that powerful within himself, because he had to have that power. That was a spirit within inside of him. He wasn't going to be stopped.
He made us all better.
Yes, he did.
We were standing up with upright, shoulders square, and feet planted.
And we belong, because he made us, let us know we belong here.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. I am the greatest. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. And then he backed it up.
When he wasn't able to, when he didn't go to war, I was watching a documentation, a special on him last night, and what it said was he traveled around to many colleges.
Yeah, speaking.
And when you hear him speak, he was not an uneducated man.
No,
he was eloquent.
Oh, he spoke very well, and they were saying that he had people on the edges of their seats because of what he was saying. He was educating them about how it was to be him.
And he was quick-witted.
He was quick.
He could write a poem, the Thriller in Manila and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
And the guy was awesome.
Genius.
There was nobody who could rival him.
And then he was cute.
He was good looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all of that, just an all around.
It was just like he was a full package. I was just like, and then he's cute. And then he was just.
You said he was cute, but he was handsome.
He was handsome. He was cute as a young man, but he was a handsome man.
I was a little
He was
kid.
what
He was
most
cute.
women wanted.
That was what I wanted. What are you talking about?
The total package. It's the total package. But yes, so we certainly honor him. We honor him.
He will always.
Yes.
He and Michael Jackson will forever be two of my greatest heroes.
Okay.
Don't forget Prince. I like Prince.
Yeah.
And they had a picture of the two of them.
Really?
Muhammad Ali was rubbing Prince's hair. I guess he was asking him, because you still get the smart mouth. You probably was like, is that what you are?
Oh, that was cool.
Look it up. It's like and they were saying two great legends gone in 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
That's a great subject. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yes.
Well, I'm getting ready to bring up another subject that's not so pleasant.
Alrighty.
All right? Denise, what's your thoughts on Donald Trump becoming president of the United States of America?
Well, I am almost speechless, but I will say this, that if that happens, God forbid, in my opinion, it typifies to me what was spoken about as the Antichrist. We look at him as a businessman. We look at him as being somewhat successful. When I say we, I'm talking about the American people. I'm originally from New York, you all know that, and from Queens is where I grew up. Most people don't know that Donald Trump was from Queens. He moved to Manhattan, and that's where he aspired and got his greatness. His father's name was Fred Trump, who was the real man with the money, and he had 5 children. Donald got some of that money. Okay, he knew his son had problems. He put him in military school to try to straighten him out. That didn't help. Okay, did not help. So now you have this man who is in a position now who could possibly be the leader of this country, and the things that he has said already that have been so explosive and so powerful in terms of being divisive in this country. We don't need to be divided, but right now that's what we see. And we see the the thing that disturbs you every day in the news is the rallies that happen and the tumultuous exchanges between people who are going to the rallies and people who are against the rallies. And the one thing, like I was mentioning earlier, about people having the ability to go to things whether they are in agreement or not, and not have to worry about being assaulted or attacked on either side. To me, it's wrong. We should not have to deal with that. However, we have had a man who is running for office who has stoked the flames of hatred, have stoked the flames of divisiveness, has talked about people from religion, have talked about people who have physical infirmities, has talked about women. I mean, there isn't a person or entity that he has not touched, and all of it because he says, I can do it, you can't stop me, and if you elect me, you're going to get more of this. Okay? So, we have people who are angry. We know that there's a population out there who's very angry because economic situation has put them in a place where they're not doing well. And usually that's what incites people to say and do things. Economics comes down to that.
Well,
so I just want to finish with just saying that I don't want to see him as our president. Okay, that's my opinion. I don't want to see that because all I know is that not only does he have to deal with the inside, which is America, but he also has to deal with the world leaders.
Exactly.
And the world leaders will target America. We will be a target. Okay, so I'm done.
Well, my opinion is Trump is the 666, the Antichrist personified. Jackie, what's your thoughts?
He's set our whole presidential process into a whole different path because he is very hurtful in his words. He doesn't care if you girl, boy, handicap or not. He'll target anybody. He'll say anything. But he says very hurtful things. And people say they like him because he speaks the truth. Well, my mom told me that everything that you think you should not say. Because you don't represent just you. You're supposed to represent the United States. This is what part I think he didn't get on that test. You didn't pass this on the test, Donald. You are not representing just Donald Trump. You are representing the United States, and the United States is sandwiched in with some, Hispanics and some blacks and some Asians and some Muslims. It's sprinkled all in there. You cannot just make a sandwich with just the people that you like. You just can't do that because we're included. And I think Michelle Obama said it better than anything. She said, we have more power when you pull us together versus when you push us apart. So we don't need a wall. We need unity. We need things to unite us because what you're doing is you're provoking anger. These people in broad daylight was attacking your people. They were so angry because you're saying very hurtful stuff. You're talking about sending their family members and you're talking about doing all these different things. You're saying hurtful stuff and people are already hurt. And all you're doing is opening up their wounds. So you're not you're not what we need right now. We need somebody that can bring us all together to the table so we can talk, so we can work out our differences, not fight, slash, and you yell in the background, get them. That's not what we need. We need somebody to be level-headed where they understand that there's problems, but we can work it out, not by our fist and not by fear, because that's what Hitler did. So we're not interested in a new Hitler in 2016.
Mr. Heather.
Well, I apologize, ladies. I can't go that way. But I believe that Donald Trump is good for the country. I believe one thing, he has shattered political correctness. Political correctness made people go underground for many, many years. They had these thoughts all the time. And now people didn't like you. And now people still don't like you, and they will never like you. We have to learn to live with that. So the power of government must minimize these things as separators, as you say, Jackie, instead of allowing them to go to their maximum. I believe that Donald Trump believes that too much legislation is bad. You can have, why not keep legislation that means something to most people? Instead of subdividing it into slices after slices after slices. So when you look at it, it means nothing. Consider racism. Consider prejudice. It means nothing to the black guy anymore, because everybody uses it. Arabs, well, that's racist. People all over the country, if someone wears a dress too short or whatever, they can be white models. That's racist. So, stop and think about all of this kind of legislative policy and what it has done and what it means to people like me. I'm a black man.
You are?
But I don't believe everything that just because people talk nice to me. I'm not gratified with that. They have to show it to me in their works. I believe that Donald Trump will have to create legislation that assesses us all equally. And I think that we need that. I think one thing that Kim Jong of North Korea,
Kim Jong-un, yeah.
yeah, he said, elect Donald Trump. I think that that's kind of,
Scary?
no,
It should be.
no, what's that thing? Kim Jong was the guy who said, I'll drop a bomb on you. I'll pop a cap on the United States and Donald Trump.
Look at you. You coming out.
And,
Ain't you?
and all of a sudden he turns around and see Donald Trump, being that this guy who will probably challenge you, as he did to the chairman of the British government. Who am I talking about? The Prime Minister.
Oh.
He said, if the guy doesn't like me, that's his problem. If he wants to work with me, fine. I'll work with him. But if not, I'll just keep going in the direction that I feel I
Okay.
need to go.
Henry, I hear you, but part of the point that you haven't made with your argument thus far is the fact that I've not heard anything substantive from him. All I've heard are insults.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but insults. I've heard no agenda. I've heard no policy creation. I haven't heard a concrete thought on what would make America better besides the wall. I don't want to hear that. Again, that's stoking anger
But
and
the wall
divisiveness.
is what we need. People should not be coming into this country at random. We can't go. Can you go to Canada without a passport?
Of course you
Can you go anywhere in the world without a passport? No. But everybody can come in here and replace people, take jobs, become dominant in this society, and inundate everybody else.
Okay, but again, I say to you, there's a way to handle that.
Okay.
But to talk about a wall without saying something substantive to say how we can work with people who are undocumented workers, how we can make their lives better.
We've tried that for years.
Okay, well, no.
And nothing's worked.
No.
You know, this wall thing is not new.
Yes, but all I'm hearing about, and like I said,
I know.
I want to hear something else.
Okay.
I want to hear something else. Because you're talking about if this man becomes president, I have no clue about his agenda. I have no clue other than he's going to hurt
You
people.
remember Donald Trump is only one man.
The only man I know.
Hang on. Donald Trump will set the tone and the direction, but he will not run the country. It's the American people that runs the country. Don't forget that.
Well, I
But
think
you know
he
what? You know what I fear most from Donald Trump is that President Obama has left a strong office there, a very strong office. He's been able to move legislation through Congress without inhibitions. He's been through government rules and regulations. And with a strong person moving into the office, he could carry that to the next level. He could spin it into an oligarchy. That's what I fear. I don't fear all of the other stuff that you guys fear.
Well, with that, we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close. I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide and my very excellent co-hosts. Until next time, this is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying, stay focused. I'm voting for Hillary Clinton.